I would encourage all of you, especially if you're going through a rough time right now, every time you hear one of those I can't thoughts, you open your mouth and say out loud, if you're in a place where you can, I am stronger than I think I am, and I can do whatever I need to do. When you feel like I can't take anymore, another good thing to say is, I will not have more than what I can deal with.
Yet at some point, you got to define who you are. You got to define what your standard is and what your values are. At some point, you got to start deciding, you know what? I'm not like everyone else. I don't think like everyone else. I'm not going with the crowd. I'm not going with the culture. The moment that you actually conquer the urge, all of a sudden you get stronger and the urges get weaker. But it will never happen until you determine, I am not like the crowd. I'm coming out of the crowd. I'm a part of the minority.
Find out what it is you want and go after it as if your life depends on it. Why? Because it does. Most people go through life quietly and safely, tiptoeing to an early grave. People that have found their passion, people that have found the things that they can pour their lives into, people that found the things that they love, those people live longer. And I think that's everybody's desire in life. You got to live what's in you. Life is just too short and unpredictable.
They have successfully convinced you that you are useless. And they use you to do what they want you to do. They meaning your culture. And you obey them because you don't know who you were born to be. When I discovered who I was, I became free from them. I began to dictate my own value. Therefore, I told them, you need me. Come on, say it. You need me. Say it like you feel it. You need me. See, you become a leader when you discover that one discovery. They need me. The world needs me.
Beware of vision, dream, and passion killers. Family and friends in most cases. Family and friends in most cases will be the first to try and talk you out of something that you're passionate, excited about, and that you have a vision for. Most of the people that have no dreams will wake up every day trying to talk you out of your dreams. It's really not expected of them to support you and have your back anyway. And if you're trying to do something with your life, they're going to try and figure out a way to shut you and your plans down as well.
Self-confidence is an internal game. You do not need external accolades, external admiration in order to build self-confidence. It's all done internally. You control this. And you control this by beginning today to keep the promises you make to yourself. And you have to stack the deck in your favor. Stack the game so you win. You must acknowledge it when you do it to you to give yourself credit to create confidence momentum. So whether that's setting the deck where you're going to get up a little bit earlier, you're going to eat a certain amount of calories in your fitness, you're going to spend a certain amount of time with your children or your parents.
See, if you start learning more things and finding out and experimenting with your life and finding out what else fits for you, here's what you discover, that as you start working with it, and the more you do it, the more you realize, the more creative you can become. And then you say, wait a minute, you know, this comes much more easily than I realized.
Your mentality is more important than your location. If you don't change as a person mentally, you will stay where you are physically. Leadership begins with thinking. So my question is, what is your philosophy of leadership? Well, why don't you believe that you could own a company? Why the first thing you look for is a job instead of look for a business? Why do you go to college and study an area that guarantees employment rather than guarantees deployment? Because your hard drive is stuck.
If I want to have a healthy mind, I must feed my mind with truth. Now, we all know the importance of nutrition. Good food and good calories cause you to be better, to be stronger, to be healthier, to have more energy. The same is true in your thought life. I must feed my mind, not with junk, not with poison, but with truth. And in your small group, you're going to look at the different kinds of things you can put into your mind. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free.
The problem is you now believe your own lies so convincingly that you're now miserable because you're trying to chase someone else's life, all while ignoring your own life and your own path, all while ignoring what God has in mind for you. What is the vision for your life? What are the ideas and the dreams for your life? Who are you? What are your gifts and talents? What is your ultimate destiny and your goals?
No matter what package trouble comes in, trouble's trouble, isn't it? And each of us, you know, when you're having trouble, there's always somebody that's worse off than you are. Well, that's true and that's good, but that doesn't mean that your trouble isn't still very important to you. If you're like me, when you have a problem, it's very easy to turn in on yourself and do nothing but think about what you're dealing with, and that's one of the worst things that we can do.
Wherever you are right now, I'm saying to you, you've got at least 3 or 4 or 5 talents that you are not even aware of right now. And you'll never be aware of them unless you come outside your comfort zone to see what it is that you might have a knack for, that you haven't discovered as yet. See, most people never discover their true potential because they figure that they're one-dimensional. And they don't try and stretch themselves and learn more.
We are educated to be employed, not to be deployed. Seeds deploy themselves and become trees. Fish deploy themselves and they swim. Birds deploy themselves and they fly. We are the only creatures God created who don't deploy ourselves because our culture doesn't allow it. You got to get free from the culture and discuss yourself with yourself and say to yourself, self, am I who I really am?
See, whatever you decide to do, look at it and find out what is it that I have that I could bring to the table. Where is the opening for you? There's room for you out here in the arena called life. There's room for you to come out and live your dream. Don't allow but to keep you in the corner or keep you up in the bleachers looking at life, being a spectator, not being a participant, making a difference in life. All of us showed up to give something, and that nobody's going to give that service that you have to give. No one's going to produce your product. No one's going to write your book.
You are not your accomplishments. You are not your possessions. You are you. You are perfect. You are beautiful. You were born to do something great with your life. And this is the social media insidious influence it has in our lives. People think, I don't feel good about myself. I've got this self-doubt. The gateway to me feeling more self-confidence is if I could possess more things. Yes, having nice things will make you feel better about yourself. Yes, accomplishing things certainly is a reinforcement for self-confidence, but it's not the pathway to getting it.
Running the race of life is not about beating people. It's about releasing yourself. That's why great leaders never compete with anyone. They try to see how much of themselves they can release tomorrow. It's leadership. I will never compete with you. I'm too original.
Now, habit becomes your servant, not your master, once you understand self-discipline. See, on uphill climbing, everything worthwhile is uphill. Can I tell you on downhill slide? Nothing worthwhile. There's nothing worthwhile. If you're going uphill, you get wins, you get losses downhill. If you're uphill, you're preparing. If you're going downhill, you're repairing. I know people every day, they just repair. They just are fixing yesterday every day. High morale is uphill climbing. Low morale is in downhill sliding. All of this uphill climbing can be described in the phrase self-discipline. It takes a highly self-disciplined person to uphill climb.
You continue to forsake your purity and you give it away time and time again. And when people ask you, why are you lowering your standards? Why are you doing that? The best answer you got is because everyone else is. And you're sitting here and you're so afraid to be alone and single that you're tolerating this toxic relationship and you're convincing yourself that it's all going to be right. Let me just be honest with you. If you have to convince yourself it's right before marriage, you're going to have to brainwash and lie to yourself after marriage.
And you begin to do these things you say you're going to do. You say simple things like, I'm going to lay out my clothes the night before I go to bed every night, before I go to sleep, so when I wake up, that decision's made for me. And believe it or not, the fact that you just do something that simple that you then deliver on begins to build confidence. You say, I'm going to stretch in the morning when I get up, and you do it. All of a sudden, when you just begin to do the things you tell yourself you're going to do, you begin to build self-confidence, which is this reputation with yourself.
Self-discipline is the bridge between good intentions and good actions. Good intentions is on one side of the water, and good actions is on the other side. And the bridge is self-discipline that takes our good intentions and turns them into good actions. The question is my attitude about self-discipline, is it a tunnel or is it a bridge?
See, if you don't decide to act on your dream, if you don't decide to make a decision to live your life, if you don't decide to step into your fears, if you don't decide to say yes to your life, it will never work for you. Time for doing, that's the time right now. Time for acting on your dream, holding on courageously, as Winston Churchill said, and not lose enthusiasm. Time to look around and become creative and see what need or service that you can provide, so that people will talk about you being a master at what you do because of the commitment of pride and excellence and high standards that you've set for yourself.
If it's a tunnel, then self-discipline is heavy, because it's always about what I'm going through. Well, I'm going through this. Well, when you're going to something, you're on the bridge. When you're going through something, you're on the end of the tunnel, in a tunnel, hoping there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
I want you to change your definition of success from destination to perspective, right? Because that's all success is. It's a perspective. And the more and more we see ourselves being successful, the more and more we're likely to keep mimicking it and finding other ways to make ourselves better, because we realize what we're capable of.
A stronghold could be an attitude like, I'm never going to forgive that person. That's a stronghold. I will never amount to anything. That's a stronghold. If something bad's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. That's a stronghold. It's a lie that you are believing. If you're going to learn to be mentally healthy, you've got to learn how to demolish strongholds in your life.
Take advice, but not orders. Take information, but don't let somebody, order your life. Make sure what you do is the product of your own conclusion. Excellent note to make. Make sure what you do is the product of your own conclusion. Not to do what someone else says. Take what someone else says, process it, think about it, ponder it. If it makes you wonder, if it makes you think, then it's valuable. Then when you go take action, make sure that the action is not what somebody told you to do. Make sure the action is the product of your own conclusion. If you'll follow just a little bit of those simple guidelines, telling you the learning process can be speedy, swift, powerful. Your learning curve can go up, and then applying it to your business, your life, your family, conversations, equities of all kinds. You'll find some progress like I did that first 5 years when I met a teacher willing to share with me, turned my life around. Progress I couldn't believe happened for me. Okay. Philosophy, as I taught the last time I was here, philosophy, in my personal opinion, is the major determining factor in how your life works out. Philosophy, the major determining factor in how your life works out. Philosophy. To form our philosophy, you got to think, you got to use your mind, you got to process ideas. And this whole process over a lifetime, starting way back here when we were children, schools that we've attended, our parents, our experiences, all this stuff that we've processed by the thinking process helps to develop our philosophy. And in my opinion, each person's personal philosophy is the major factor in how your life works out. Here's what I called it in that last presentation when I was here. It's called the set of the sail. Each person's personal philosophy is like the set of the sail. Now, I used to think it was circumstances that ordered my life. If someone would have asked me at age 25, Mr. Rohn, how come you're not doing well? Pennies in your pocket, creditors calling, nothing in the bank, behind on your promises to your family, you live in America, 25 years old, got a beautiful family, every reason to do well, and things are not going that well for you. What is wrong here? It would not have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. I mean, it would not have occurred to me. Saying, well, I got this lousy philosophy, and that's how come I got pennies in my pocket and nothing in the bank, and things aren't working well. That would not have occurred to me. I found it much easier to blame the government. Much easier to blame the tax problem. I used to say taxes are too high. Top tax rate when I first started paying taxes, 91%. Back then, when your income reached a certain level, all your income over that, 91%. So I used to say that's too high. Now the top tax rate's about 33%. But people are still saying what? Taxes are too. See, but you can't use that anymore. If it's gone from 91 to 33, how could it be too high? Come on. I threw all that old excuse stuff away. Some people found it, though, and they're using it these days. My old list. I used to blame the traffic, the weather, used to blame circumstances, right? People say I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too old. I was raised in obscurity, raised on a farm, parents of modest means, all the stuff. If you were to ask me, how come you find yourself here, Mr. Rohn, age 25, living in America, land of abundance and opportunity, pennies, zero in the bank, not doing well, creditors calling, it would not have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. I found it easier to blame the company policy. I used to say, if this is all they pay, how do they expect you to do well? So I figured that, my future was going to be tied to what everybody else was arranging, the economy and, right, interest rates. I used to say things cost too much. That was my whole explanation, not my philosophy, until my teacher taught me better that this is where the problem was, my own personal philosophy. Here's what's exciting about each person's personal philosophy. That's what makes us different than dogs and animals and birds and cats and spiders and alligators. That's what makes us different than all other life forms. The ability to think, the ability to use your mind, the ability to process ideas, and not just operate by instinct. In the winter, I'm telling you, the goose can only fly south. What if south doesn't look too good? Tough luck. It can only fly south. But see, human beings are not like a goose, can only fly south. I mean, you can turn around, go north, you can go east, you can go west, you can order the entire process of your own life. And we do that by the way we think. We do that by exercising our mind. We do that by processing ideas and come up with a better philosophy, a better strategy for our life, goals for the future, okay? Plans to achieve those goals. All this comes from developing our philosophy. Philosophy helps us to process what's available. Well, when we get here, we got seed, and we got soil, and we got some rain, and we've got some what? Sunshine, and we've got some seasons, and what? The miracle of life. Now, the key is, what do you do with all this stuff? How do you turn all this stuff that's available here into equity and promise and lifestyle and dreams and future possibilities? All of this that's possible now with human beings, how do you take all this stuff and turn it into this equities and values? Well, it starts with philosophy. What is the seed? What is the soil? What is the sunshine? What is the rain? Is it possible to take some of each of all the stuff that's available and turn it into food and turn it into value and turn it into nourishment, turn it into something spectacular and unique that no other life form can do? And the answer is yes. But you cannot deal with all this stuff and what to do with it unless you start refining your philosophy. Think, use your mind, come up with ideas, and strengthen your philosophy. So the seed and the soil and the rain and the sunshine, this is called, the economy and the banks and the money and the schools and everything that's available out there, processing information, what to do with all that, and turn it into equity and value. That is the major challenge of life, my personal opinion. So each person's personal philosophy now is going to determine what you're going to do with seed and soil, and sunshine, and rain, miracle, the change of season. That's it. My personal opinion. Each person's personal philosophy is like the set of the sail. That's what this seminar is for today. Help you to trim a better sail. You don't need a better economy. You don't need better seed and soil. In fact, when it comes to seed and soil and rain and sunshine and seasons and the miracle of life, that's all you got. Now, what if you blame this stuff? Then you're blaming all you got. Guess what I had to do at age 25 in order to change my own future? I had to change my mind. I had to change my thinking. I had to change my philosophy. I was messed up on what was causing my problem. And once I got that straightened out, that all the stuff I blamed, the government and taxes and the marketplace and the economy and things cost too much, negative relatives, cynical neighbors, once I got rid of that and started going for where the real problem was, which was me, I'm telling you, my life exploded into change. My bank account changed immediately. My income changed immediately. My whole life took on a whole new look and color immediately. And the early results I got from making these philosophical changes tasted so good, I've never stopped the process from that day. And I'm telling you, with a little consideration of the refinement of your sail, by setting a better sail, refining your philosophy, your whole life can start to change from today on. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. You don't have to wait till next month. You don't have to wait till spring. You don't have to wait till 93. You can start this whole process immediately. I recommend it. Now, some people do so little thinking, they don't even have their sail up. I mean, you can imagine where they're going to wind up at the end of this week, at the end of this month, at the end of this year. Now's the chance to change, process all this information. So number one is philosophy. Okay. And we dealt with all that, where we get ideas, personal experience, from other people's experiences. I don't want to get into all those details because we covered that the last time I was here. But philosophy, that's number one, my personal opinion. Each person's personal philosophy. Here's the definition of success and failure. Just make this note. Here's failure. A few errors in judgment, repeated every day.
Credit goes to our awesome patrons who make videos like this one possible. Consider joining them to support our work. You can also support us by subscribing to our channel and clicking the bell button to get notified when our new videos are released. And as always, thank you for watching.
How you gonna show power if you're not up under attack? How you gonna show resistance if something's not trying to pull you over? Resist, resist. Stop being neutral and stop being indifferent. Resist. Take a stand and resist.
You know, courage mounts up, and then sometimes we have the doubts that creep in, and we reach a little deeper to find that courage that overcomes our doubts and our fears. Courage to do what you didn't think you could do. The courage to step into territory that might be a little unfamiliar. The courage to talk to somebody you don't know. Courage to stand up when it's sort of dark in your corner. The courage to do it when it isn't going your way, seemingly.
Be strong and very courageous. Be strong and very courageous. Be strong and be of good courage. Be strong and possess the land.
Don't wait anymore. Don't think anymore. Don't plan anymore. Don't contemplate anymore. Don't make any more excuses or justifications. Don't rationalize anything else. No and no. Instead, be aggressive. Take action now. And what is the first action that you need to take? Take the step. Step aggressively towards your fear. And that step towards your fear is the step into bravery. Because we're scared of what we don't know. And there is only one way
to learn and to know, and that is to confront that fear. You have to step, you have to go. And this simple action, this simple attitude, it answers so many questions. How do you change your diet? You step, you go. You step, you go. How do you overcome fear of failure or fear of success or fear of fear itself? You step.
Face everything and rise. That's what a few people will do. The ones who will face everything and run, they've already gone to look at television and constant negative news and other drama stuff and go to bed fearful tonight. They won't even get a good night's sleep. This is for people that are positive, that are motivated, and that are hungry. I can't say this enough. Work on your mind. Listen to things that empower you, that builds your spirit, that's got your name on it. Listen, why? Because faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. Oh, I heard it before. No, listen until you're producing the results. If you're not producing the results, you haven't heard it enough. You got to listen till it goes past the conscious mind to the subconscious mind. So you need a coach, somebody that can see what you can't see.
We all have doubts that attack us. We all have small fears that creep in. That is the nature of life. But that's what faith is all about. That's what courage is all about, to serve us when our doubts will not serve us well. Faith to overcome fear and courage to overcome our doubts. That, of course, is the very essence of life itself, because we all have this warfare going on. In our own body, the warfare between health and illness, the struggle is on. The struggle between light and darkness, the struggle between good and evil. We must drive the dark side of our nature into a small corner and let the positive side flourish. So self-control is certainly necessary to be a strong leader, so that you can become the best example of choosing wise words and not being careless, that kind of control.
That once a person's mind is expanded with an idea, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. So some of you are going to experience a breakthrough. Some of you are going to go back and look at your dreams and brush them off. Whatever goal that you have in mind, I want that to be a goal that will challenge you, something that will make you stretch. What is it that you looked at some point in time and you decided that you couldn't do it, that you talk yourself out of it? Whatever it is, bring it back out there. How you're going to do it, that will come to you in due time. You've got to begin to take a look at your life and look at where are you right now? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What gives your life a sense of fulfillment, a sense of joy? What is it that you could love doing 7 days a week? So you don't get in life what you want, ladies and gentlemen. You get in life what you are, not what you want. You see, the good news is that we can always become more by working to develop ourselves. Think about that.
I fought my way up. I fought to get to work. I fought to stand. I fought to carry on. I fought to live. I fought to get out of the bed. I fought with my fears, my anxieties. I fought with haters, liars, backbiters, and betrayers. And many times I laid in the bed. I couldn't go to sleep because I was fighting with myself. I fought.
Some people get it the first time they hear it. And then some folk got to go home and chew on it and think about it and turn it over in their minds. And sometimes it takes a year, 5 years, 8 years. You can't be impatient with the seed coming up, because every seed does not come up at the same time. You have to be patient with the soil. You have to tend it. You have to take care of it. You have to make sure that when the seed is ready to be cast, that the soil is ready to receive it.
I ask you to start that same journey. Let your new skills, new disciplines affect all of the rest. 6/7 of our life was to be devoted to labor and work, to produce a good family, to produce an enterprise. That's the essence of life in its best form first, is to be a producer. What is the reason for the seed and the soil and the sunshine and the rain and the seasons of life and its miracle? What's the reason for all of that? Here it is in a nutshell for your notes. To see what you can do with it. We've got books to read, and we've got classes to attend, and we've got, things to do and things to learn. And if you put it all together, you can have not only your health, but your fortune. Why not see what you can do with what you've been handed? As basic as seed and soil and sunshine and rain. Only God can create the sunshine, the rain, the seasons, the miracle of life. But here's what humans can do. Recreate those components into a harvest. By planting the seed, reaping the rewards in the harvest. We call that recreation. To take your hours and your energy and your life and a bit of skill and actually recreate a career, a future, possibilities, fortune, recreate.
I mean, really, how many years ago did you come up with what you could and couldn't do in your life? How many years ago? Most people, if they really look at how they're living their life today, it's based on a set of standards, a set of beliefs that they made choices about 10, 20, 30 or more years ago. I mean, very often we made decisions in our youth or very young about what to believe, about what we were capable of, about who we are as a person, and that becomes the glass ceiling, if you will, that controls us. I'll give you an example. Look at your physical body. Your physical body today is an absolute reflection of only one thing. Not your goals, not your desires, but your standards. Again, the strongest force in the human personality is this need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves.
So when you begin to say, what is it that I want to leave? What contribution that I want to begin to make? What difference do I want to make in life? What chances I need to take? What risks do I need to begin to embrace? What fears do I need to step on? What areas of my life am I dead right now? What dreams? You can either live your dreams or live your fears. You have got to get to a point where you say, I'm sick and tired of living like this. There's got to be more. That's when people go out and strike out on their dreams.
You don't always get your goals, but you always get your standards. Everybody in life gets their musts. They don't get their shoulds. Most people have a list of shoulds, don't they? Don't you have a list of the shoulds, things you should do, you should follow through on? I should get into the office earlier. I should be, more confident. Whatever your should list is, when you decide something is a must for you, an absolute must, when you cut off any possible, you say, I'm going to find the way or I'm going to make the way.
Once you see that you're suffering either early consequences or severe consequences, all you have to do now is shut down that route, pick another destination and start going that way with some easy disciplines that day by day gather momentum, and now one success leads to another, leads to another. All disciplines affect each other. What's interesting about success is starting a new discipline, a couple of new disciplines, and sure enough, once you've gained just a little bit of success in a couple of new disciplines, it'll inspire you to clean up the rest. Each lack of discipline affects the rest.
Take ownership. Take extreme ownership. Don't make excuses. Don't blame any other person or any other thing. Don't hide your delicate pride from the truth. Everyone took ownership of their mistakes. Everyone took ownership of the problems. Take ownership of your job, of your future, and take ownership of your life. And lead. Lead yourself and your team and the people in your life. Lead them all to victory.
There is a certain mentality that is associated with winners because there's a mentality. This is not about money. It's not about anything tangible. There's a mentality that goes along with winning.
Trying to learn early the consequences of errors in judgment, poor behavior, and then try to learn from others that have gone down a disastrous road, and sure enough, they suffered the consequences, and you say, wow, then I'm going to change direction because I don't want those consequences.
And to the positive, once you get that mentality, you can listen to a person talk a few minutes and either it feeds you or it doesn't. And you learn sooner or later that things that don't feed you, you don't spend time fooling with it because it is counterproductive to where you're trying to go. You don't argue with people. You stop arguing with people. You just move aside and go on in your own direction because you finally got it on the right road and you don't want anything to blow you off course. And now that you've got your focus, you want to be able to maintain your focus and keep moving forward. Likewise, failing has the pathology. You can get in around failing people and have failing circumstances and listen at negative talking, and after a while you find yourself unable to get back up again because not only are you down, but what is worse is your environment is down and everybody who's talking to you is talking down, and you develop a mentality built around your condition.
Learning from errors in judgment. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. Now you're on the road to success. A few errors in judgment repeated, and you can turn anything around.
You work on your mindset. You read 30 to 40 pages of something positive every day. You can't help but change. I'm an assassin. I'll kill every negative, mediocre cell in your body. You were born for greatness, not to be a victim. No, life happens to everybody, everybody, and no one escapes it. It's called unavoidable suffering. Life is difficult, so work on your mind. I work on my mind every day. Every day I work on it. There's a calling on your life, and you're greater than your circumstances. You're greater than anything that has ever happened to you.
Indecision is the thief of opportunity. If you don't decide what you're going to do today, the day could get away and you're not very effective. Don't start the day until you have it finished. Is it possible to finish the day before you start it? And the answer is yes. If you don't finish it, the day escapes. And in the morning you say, let's see, what should I do now? In the afternoon you say, hey, time's getting away from me, what should I do now? And now most of the day is lost. Most of the day escapes not being utilized simply because you didn't make those decisions early, at the early part of the day. The decisions we make in the early part of our life sometimes last for a lifetime. If you neglect them and don't make them, sure enough, the time passes. And the opportunity sometimes is diminished, and sometimes you spend a lot of time now catching up simply because you didn't make those early decisions. So it's the decisions at the first of the day, it's the decisions at the early part of the month, it's the decisions at the early part of the year that greatly determines what kind of year you're going to have. The decisions you make at the first chance you see opportunity, those decisions. Then we need decisions to correct poor decisions, to overcome our mistakes. It's possible, of course, for all of us to make unwise decisions. At the end of a few years, we say, that decision cost me too much. Cost me a lot of time, cost me a lot of money. But as long as you're alive, there's still a chance to use new decision power to correct the mistakes of decisions that were bad in the past. All of us have the opportunity to do that, but I think Napoleon was right here too. You got to be definite in making decisions so that the opportunity doesn't pass you by. Take advantage.
The people that do that, the people that go against the grain, the people who ignore the naysayers, the haters, the people who turn a deaf ear to people telling them what they can't do. Do what you can do. Give it everything that you have. What are you hungry for? Because when we come out of this, our lives will never be the same again. A lot of people are going to be left behind. A lot of people will be devastated. A lot of people will take themselves out. But a few people, those who are able to rise, a few people, the road to life is straight and narrow, but few there be that find it, because few there be that are hungry. You got to go all out. It takes everything in you. You got to feel that you were chosen for such a time as this. This is an appointment, a divine appointment for your dream.
this could be the greatest time you ever live if you control what you focus on, if you find a more empowering meaning, and if you decide to model the actions of those who succeeded before you. It can be the best financial time, the best emotional time, the best spiritual time of your life, but you better take control of your state. And if you think you're going to do it just by today, you're wrong. You're going to need to get yourself some rituals. So you better do the right thing at the right time, and to do that, you better know what season you're in, and to do that, you better learn how to change your state, how to take control of your own conditioning. That's what I live for.
A good leader has definite plans. Your plans to be financially secure. You got to have good plans. One more on plans, and that is the plan for your personal development. The plan to be better this year than last year. The plan to take the classes, do everything you possibly can to show personal progress. Not just financial progress, but the progress of personality, the progress of communication skills, the progress in how to deal with people. You need those kind of plans. A plan for personal growth, personal development, a plan to be all that you can possibly be. Got to have good plans. A good leader has the habit of doing more than what he gets paid for. What an incredible philosophy this is. It's what we call the service that you put out like seeds in the ground that doesn't bring the harvest immediately, but the harvest is yet to come.
There's no secret to success. There's a system to success. The system works if you work it. If you don't work it, it won't work. But it works if you work it. And that's one 4-letter word that most people don't like, that most people won't participate in their own rescue. And there are people who will be presented with an opportunity, who know that they could be laid off at any moment, who know that them keeping their job has nothing to do with how good they are. And yet and still, they'll go to work and have knots in their stomachs, hoping when they open up an email that they have not been told this is your last day. They'll go to work hoping there's not a security guard standing by their desk with a box and say, empty your things in here and take them to the front door and escort them to the parking lot. They go in there hoping it doesn't happen. Why? Because they don't want to do the work. It's an aversion to most people's spirit.